Good evening. Good evening.
Hey,
Good evening.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
this guy didn't show up
Wonderful.
again.
Everybody there?
Almost
Okay. Who we missing?
Commissioner Jones, but I think he's out in the lobby.
Okay. Great. We got a quorum already. That's a good thing.
He can't see.
Hey,
Evening. Commissioner.
how you doing?
Hey, this is Colonel Bennett. Anybody on? Over.
Hey, Colonel Bennett. Bobby Jones. How are you?
Hey, doing good, sir. Doing good.
Great.
How are
Great.
you all?
Everybody's doing well. Thank you so much.
Good, good. So yeah, I'm on the road traveling, so I'm just gonna call in on this one, but I'll be on mute, and whenever you all are ready for me, just give me the heads up.
Sounds good. We'll do that. Thanks for joining us. We have about 5 minutes before we get started.
Good evening. How you doing? I sent it to you.
Have a little over a minute. We'll get started.
How you doing, sir?
How you doing, sir?
Great.
All right.
This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening. The Town of Princeville Board of Commissioners meeting is now called to order on this Wednesday, April the 20th, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. We ask everyone online, please mute your phones unless you're speaking. Please mute your phones unless you're speaking. And we ask everyone in the boardroom to please speak into the mic. At this time, will one of the commissioners please lead us in prayer?
Let us pray. Most gracious, all-wise, eternal God, again, we come before your presence. God, another 30 days have passed, and you've allowed us to assemble in this meeting room one more time. God, we realize that we've been kept by your grace and by your mercy, and for that we are grateful. Now, God, as we assemble in this meeting, we ask your guidance, we ask your leadership. God, we ask for your wisdom and your understanding. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. And then, God, we thank you for the citizens that are here. We pray, oh God, that all we do in a spirit of excellence. And equally important, God, we pray that we continue to operate in a spirit of transparency. For we're always aware, oh God, that one of these days, not only do we give an account to the citizens of Princeville, but one of these days we must give an account to you as to how we handle this office. Your will is what we want. Nothing more, nothing less, and nothing else.
Amen.
In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Jones.
Yes, sir.
At this time, we'll move to the oath of office, the swearing in of Commissioner Bullock.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor and the board. Glad to be here this evening. I'm here to swear in the Honorable Milton Bullock. Is there a certain place you like to stand?
Right then, it sounds
Right there.
good.
Okay. You'd like to hold the Bible for him? You'll place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand, please. You, Milton R. Bullock, do solemnly swear that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as Commissioner of Town of Princeville, Ward 1. So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Honorable Clerk of Court, Carol Allen White, for joining us on this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bobby Jones.
And welcome back, Commissioner Bullock.
Yes.
Are we ready for the next agenda item?
1 second, Mayor.
Okay.
Yes, sir, right there. You behave yourself.
Okay, Mayor.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So move.
Second.
Then probably moved in second that we open the public hearing. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. This is a public hearing on zoning maps amendment.
We just have one public hearing comment. It's from Miss Delia Perkins. Miss Perkins, if you could come back here to the mic.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before I can comment on the public hearing, I need to know what the public hearing, the issue is tonight. I don't really know. I know a little bit of something, but I think that it's incumbent upon the board to give us some information as to what you are getting ready to vote on.
Dr. Knight, you have that information? It says, I know it's the zoning map amendments.
Just 1 second, Mayor. I just printed off the copy. I want to prefer to read it verbatim. Do you have that copy,
Okay.
Ms. Chatterton? If you pull it up, I can read it. If you can read it to everybody, since it's such a-
Okay, so I'm just gonna read verbatim what the notice of public hearing states. Okay, the purpose of this public hearing is to receive community feedback on accepting the addition of a mixed-use district and map amendment for the 53 acres and the addition of a historical Princeville downtown core district. The mixed-use district would allow for a mixture of residential and commercial uses on the 53 acres. The historical Princeville downtown core district would allow for additional non-residential offices, daycares, personal care, small general commercial uses off Main Road, South Main and Mutual Boulevard.
And what street does this encompass? What streets? What area?
For the downtown core district, that would be South Main and Mutual Boulevard.
South Main, Mr. Boulevard. No
Yes,
side,
ma'am.
no side streets.
No, ma'am.
Okay, and is this the historical district? You say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and just what area? Because I'm trying to figure out. You say historical. That means that you need to have some historical buildings in that area. So, do you have anything historical in that area that's left other than Mount Zion Church?
The museum. The museum.
The museum. Okay, and you say that.
And the Wooten, you're exactly right, in the Wooten house.
And what's that?
She said the Wooten house.
The Wooten House.
Yeah.
Okay, the Wooten House. But the Wooten House is about to fall down. I just want to say I don't have anything against it, but I just wanted to get a full understanding of what you all planning on voting on, because what you vote on tonight will be in place for a while. The historical district was put in place sometime back, and I assume that a lot of those records got lost. But I don't have any struggles about it. I hope that it's a success, and I hope that you all will eventually take care of the Wooten House before it falls down. Thank you.
That's all for the public hearing comments, Mayor.
Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
And properly moved and second that we close the public hearing. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Is this where we vote on that pleasure of the board at this time?
That would be appropriate, Mayor.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we accept the zoning amendment as read verbatim by the town's clerk.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the zoning map amendments. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Next, we move into public comments.
Okay, we have 5 public comments. The first one is from Miss, I think I'm saying this right, Fatisha Pierce.
Hello, my name is Patricia Pierce. I am not a citizen of Princeville, but I have been here coming back and forth for the last month or two, looking at some of the houses that are boarded and down and that were damaged during the floods, and also the apartment community. And I'm very interested, me and Mr. Antonio, with helping with the redevelopment of Princeville and getting some of that, getting some of these houses open and rehab to get people in them. And my main concern is really that apartment community back there. I would love to get that and get it rehab for our fallen vets. We have a lot of veterans out here that are homeless, nowhere to go. They fought hard for the country, and we have empty houses and apartment buildings that are just sitting going to waste. And we have been riding around in the community a lot and trying to look at some things and get some things done. And we would be very, very interested in getting some of these houses up and running so we can get some stuff back going into Princeville. I have been reading a lot about it. the city, and it's an awesome city. And I think that we need to get some stuff back going in here to get some revenue coming in, get some traffic coming in, and get it built back up. So that is my reason for being here at the meeting. And I actually live in Rocky Mount right now, but it's still in North Carolina. So we just want to come in and see what we can do and what opportunities we have.
Excuse me.
Yes.
The name, and could you give us the spelling of the name?
Yes. It is Patisha, and it's F like Frank, Atisshua, and my last name is Pierce, Pierce.
Your contribution is welcome.
Thank
I'm
you
interested.
very much.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you guys for having me as well.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, the next public comment is from Antonio Lawrence.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hi.
Yeah.
My name is Antonio Lawrence. I'm from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, but I'm pretty familiar with Princeville. I got a lot of family just with like my old stomping grounds. So, yes, like I said, my partner, she pretty much said everything. And what I really was trying to find out too was, is a lot of these houses that's like abandoned and set up, is it due to the flood and that wouldn't let them rebuild? Or is it just that, because I also was told that it have to be, I guess they said they had to build the houses up some to a certain standard for the flood.
Mr. Lawrence, I'd be more than happy to set up a time to go over the HMGP and the recovery projects to discuss any vacancies in the town of Princeville. We can make that accommodation.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
Next public comment is from Ms. Delia Perkins.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I first want to congratulate the Board of Commissioners on the council room. It looks very good. It looks just like it did in the Blue Book. That was for Princeville. I have a few concerns. First concern I have is the police department. I think that Princeville needs to have a police department back in Princeville due to a lot of people roaming around, a lot of crime, a lot of retaliation that's happening over in Targa and other areas. But most of all, I think Princeville needs a police department because we pay taxes, and as of this moment, the town of Princeville does not give the citizens of Princeville anything for their tax money. We pay for everything else. We pay taxes to the county and the state, and we pay federal taxes too, but we don't get anything from the town of Princeville. Police department is my number one goal. The second thing is the Army Corps of Engineers. As you understand, hurricane season is about to start again June 1st. It's been 25 years since 1999 when we had water where this building is 24 feet. I don't think it takes 25 years for anybody to do a plan for a town this small to do some mitigation on flooding. I don't say that it will stop complete flooding, but it will stop those 25 feet of flooding. So I would implore the board to start to put some pressure on the Army Corps of Engineers. Let the citizens talk to them. We can tell them about the furniture, the houses, the heartaches, and all. Let us talk to them. Let us tell them how we feel that they're procrastinating. They got $40 million to do the dike mitigation for Princeville. As of this time, I haven't seen anything. I haven't even seen anything about the floodgates being put back on. The other thing is concerning flooding too. The county has money for the town of Princeville for drainage. Drainage is very important when we have flooding because the water will not drain like it's supposed to. I implore the council again to put some pressure on the county to get those bids out, get that drainage done. I don't know how much money. I think I heard $200,000. I don't know, but I'm sure there's some more money out there. But it's important that this council put some pressure on Edgecombe County to do drainage. Edgecombe County is in charge of the water system. They were supposed to do upgrading. They have not done that, but they ran a line through Princeville to speed for a brand new water line, and they got a brand new pumping station, state-of-the-art pumping station, but they bypassed Princeville and did not do a thing. I know my 2 minutes up. I hope that I can get back to another council meeting because there are lots of druthers that I have, but with my druthers, I'm willing to help the board with anything that I can do. I have some expertise, some experience dealing with things after a flood. Don't know it all, but I know some things, and I have a lot of contacts. So I appreciate you all, what you do. I know what you're doing. I know how bad it is. I know how hard it is, but let us help. There are some of us that in Princeville, all of us are not dumb. There are some people in Princeville that can help you with some of the things that you need to do. We're not looking for anything but to help, to make Princeville the oldest town incorporated by blacks in the United States of America, to make it what it should be. That's all I want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next public comment is from Mary Tate. Yes.
No, you just signed it.
Okay. Next comment is from Ms. Dorstein.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening. My name is Dorstein Wiggins, and right now I reside at 110 Squiggling Drive. And I know y'all sick of us talking about the police, but I'm gonna say it. My husband's car was tore all to pieces Saturday night because somebody ran into his truck in my yard. I called Edgecombe County office. No one came. I had to wait for the state trooper for 2 hours. So y'all keep saying we don't need police. We need police. And if they was working Friday evening, where were they when all this happened? I wasn't home. My husband lay home in the bed asleep. I came home to this. So y'all need to stop saying we don't need police and get us some police over here. And you know, it's just getting scary over here now. People's talking about coming. I'm glad they talking about coming. But y'all need to get us some police. And if the Edgecombe County Sheriff is working over here on the weekend, they need to monitor better. We don't need the sheriff coming. We need somebody here where you pick up the phone and call, they there, like we did in the past. And another thing, I've listened to y'all last Monday when I was here about the senior citizen. I asked a question about was the senior whatever coordinator, whatever, talking to our senior citizen. She told me yes, she was keeping in contact with him. But you know when she got in contact with the senior citizen? The day after I asked her about them. She called them that Tuesday. I asked her about them that Monday night. So she's not doing her job for us keeping in contact with our senior citizens, seeing what their needs are, but she'll get paid for it. We don't need to be paying nobody for education. They ought to have the education when they come here and apply for a job. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it?
No.
One last one. It's Miss Mary Tate.
Good evening.
Okay,
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mary Tate, and I'm the individual that the lady that just got through speaking was speaking about. I started working in November, and from November
Miss
until the
Tate.
present time.
Miss Tate, will you go to the mic for us, please?
Okay. From November to the present time, I have periodically called all the seniors that were attending the senior citizen. I have asked them if there were things that they needed. I invited them to come to a 6 weeks program with the Upper Coastal Carolina to help them with aging with the diabetes. I have been very active with the seniors. Also, she's talking about education. I have been employed with the public for 55 years. I have not only worked with senior citizens, but I've worked with children, teenagers, middle-aged adults. I spent my last 30 years working for the North Carolina Community College System, where I taught. I was involved with business and industry. I helped build buildings. I have a vast knowledge and vast education. I received my master's degree from Western Carolina in 1990. I am a single mother, and I have acquired 4 degrees, working 3 jobs, taking care of my children, and constantly helping people. I don't want anyone to go away from this meeting tonight thinking that I came to Princeville to get educated. I have a resume that documents everything I'm saying, and I have called the seniors on numerous occasions. And I wanted to make that clear so no one has no misunderstanding. And for those of you that are seniors, I look forward to seeing you when the senior center opens. Thank you so much for these few minutes.
thank you, Ms. Tate. Okay,
That's all for the
next item
public
on the
comments.
agenda. I'm sorry.
That's all for the public comments.
The announcements are listed. The virus testing sites are at Freedom Hill, Vidant Walk-In Clinic, and Heritage Park. COVID vaccination at the Health Department, Freedom Hill, Walgreens, Walmart, and OIC. And Nash Edgecombe Wilson Community Action Inc., NEW, call 252-442-8081. And I've just received information on the news that the virus cases have increased by 50% in North Carolina since last Thursday. So this thing is not over, so please be careful, wear your mask. Another announcement, business recovery grants. They still have monies for the business recovery grants. They can be found at www.ncdor, Department of Revenue.gov/business-recovery-grant. Again, business recovery grants can be located at www.ncdor for Department of Revenue.gov/business-recovery-grant. And also, if anyone's in need of assistance with their water bill, they can go to epass.nc.gov. Again, assistance with the water bill, epass.nc.gov. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, I do ask for an adjustment to the agenda under new business. If you'd be so kind to add number 3, health insurance.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we add on the new business number 3, health insurance. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Any other adjustments?
Yes, Mayor. Number 1 under new business, that is an error. The title should be planning board. Number 1
Instead,
under new business.
instead of 320 Mutual Boulevard, it should be planning board.
Yes, that'll be a drop down under planning board. The heading should be planning board.
Okay, no 320 Mutual.
Well, we will discuss that.
Okay, so this is 1 Mutual Boulevard would be number 2.
No, the topic should be planning board, and all matters concerning planning board will be discussed under that topic.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we add under new business, planning board, and then following by 320 Mutual Boulevard. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
And last but not least for me, Mayor, if you could be so kind to consider adding under town manager's report, number 4, HMGP, elevation.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we add on the town manager's report number 4, HMGP, elevation. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Any additional adjustments? Hearing none, is a motion to approve the agenda as written with the necessary adjustments.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the agenda with the necessary adjustments. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the consent agenda. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Next on the agenda, we have presentation. We have a proclamation for Cerebral Palsy Month. And I will read that resolution. Resolution recognizing March as Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month. Whereas cerebral palsy, CP, is an incurable neurological condition that impairs a person's ability to control his or her muscles, and whereas cerebral palsy, the most common motor disability in children, is caused by damage to one or more specific areas of the developing brain, which usually occurs during fetal development before, during, or after birth, and whereas early signs of cerebral palsy include delayed development of abilities such as rolling over, sitting, standing, and walking, and whereas the underlying brain disorder causing cerebral palsy doesn't change with time, so symptoms usually do not worsen with age. However, some symptoms may become more or less apparent as a child gets older. And whereas no cure exists for cerebral palsy, treatments focus on managing the disorder, optimizing the child's potential, and preventing or correcting deformities. And whereas Mr. and Mrs. Baines is a staple in the community who express much dedication in their advocacy for Christina, and whereas the town of Princeville recognizes Mr. and Mrs. Baines for educating and raising awareness of cerebral palsy throughout the town of Princeville and surrounding communities, and now therefore be it resolved that the town of Princeville hereby designates the month of March as Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, and thank Mr. and Mrs. Baines for their continued support and advocacy. Resolved this 20th day of April 2022. Bobby Jones, Mayor. Linda Joyner, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs. Baines. Okay. Next item on the agenda, we have the United States Army Corps of Engineers, Colonel Bennett.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we got you.
Hey, how's everybody doing this evening?
Evening.
Doing well. How are you?
Hey, doing good, doing good. Well, I'm actually calling down in Atlanta. We're spending the week, South Atlantic Division. My commander, Brigadier General Kelly, gets all the districts together to talk about projects of importance, and we actually spent some time talking about Princeville today and the status of that project. So I'm not sure who's in the room. I heard the one lady asking questions to apply some pressure to the Corps of Engineers, and I will. You can assure her that there is plenty of pressure on the Corps of Engineers to move this project forward. And not only the Wilmington District, the South Atlantic Division, and all the way up to the higher headquarters. There were communications today with our headquarters in D.C. About the status of this project. So I can assure everybody on the board and the commission and the citizens that where we're at is not because of a lack of effort or a lack of importance. As far as where we're at project-wise, when I last briefed the town, I told you all that the design that was developed, once we ran the modeling, although it had a high degree of probability of protecting the citizens or trying to reduce the risk of flooding within Princeville, that berm structure would flood numerous or cause increased water elevations of numerous residents within the thousands of structures in adjacent communities. And again, we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to protect one and then increase flooding in another. So we decided that the project as was presently authorized, we needed to take another look. We coordinated out with the state and everybody else. Now, the good news is we have run some variations of that design through our computer models, and it looks like that we're on a very solid path to coming up with a solution that does provide some mitigation to flooding to Princeville without increasing water levels in adjacent communities to the effect that we had seen before. So we ran that. We played with the locations of some of the berms and the orientations, and looked to put in some culverts in various places to help control water flow. We did that. We were doing those around, well, consistently, but we came up with a scenario around Christmas time that we thought might work. And we hired, again, some of the best water engineers in the nation. They plugged it into the computer system just to see if we might be on track. And again, we believe we are. We believe we have a design. We've looked at it from upstream and downstream through about 50 miles downstream. And it looks like, again, we may be onto a path of having something that's going to work for Princeville and not induce flooding in adjacent communities. I asked the team to run another model and another turn, and we're in the process of doing one more because there are 1,000 variables that can be entered into any model, and you could spend a lifetime studying a model. But said, hey, let's make sure from where Princeville upstream and this 50 miles downstream area, anything that we could think that could cause us a problem, let's take the time and get it in the model to increase our confidence. So we're in that process now. The architects and the engineers are running that, and I expect to get the results probably within the next 6 to 8 weeks. Now, concurrently, so once we say, hey, we think we got the design done, the next thing is we got to figure out what it's going to cost, right? Because as the lady said, we were, allocated roughly, appropriated roughly $39 million. And if this new design is going to be of a different cost and possibly cost more, we need to take a look at that. But what I can tell you is that we'll figure out what the cost is. We'll coordinate with the state, the non-federal sponsor, to make sure that everybody's good for it, good with the cost, and then we'll work on proceeding. Now, what I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I will tell you that again, everybody within the Corps of Engineers that I've talked to, again, continues to express support for the project. And they say, hey, first thing we need to do is figure out a design that works. Then we'll work through the funding and the appropriation and the agreements piece. And again, really my report to everybody today is that I am very encouraged by the modifications that we have made to the project. And I think in about, like I said, 6 to 8 weeks, I'll be able to come back to you and I say, hey, I think we have something that will absolutely work. And we're going to start working the funding and the approval, then eventually moving to construction. Now, can I tell you definitively when that's going to be? Not tonight. Unfortunately, I can't. But again, what I can tell you and what I can promise you is that there is a large team in the Wilmington district, a team of engineers in an engineering company that we have on contract, and a group of engineers in the South Atlantic division that are working on this problem set every single day. It's one of the highest priorities in our headquarters, and we're not going to stop until somebody tells us to, or we think we can get something that works. So I'll pause there. That's what I have as far as an update. Again, happy to field any questions that you all may have.
Mr. Mayor.
Questions from the board?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bennett, this is Commissioner Bullock here. And I don't know if I'm out of order or not, but I would like to make sure that I'd like to volunteer to be a part of that team that you're going to be putting together to somewhat represent or look at what you're doing along the lines, have some input from Princeville on that project, if that's possible.
I'm not, sir. I'm not in the room. I'm not sure if you're a commissioner or a citizen or
both, sir.
Or you say that again, sir?
Yes, I'm a citizen, native born here, and a commissioner of Ward 1.
Okay. So right now, I will tell you that I am happy to, I don't have anything right now that I need you to, bless off on. I think really the next step is once this design is complete, I bring it to you all. I will show you in person, and then I will outline kind of the path and the strategy for getting it approved. And again, maybe at that time, I'm open to ideas of how you all may be able to help, and will absolutely ensure that you all are informed throughout the process.
All right, sir. I'll adhere to that point, but I would like to make sure that I, as a commissioner, would like to be involved in the progress, the designs, and what you're going to end up with. We want some input on that.
Okay, thank you. Absolutely.
Colonel
Thank you,
Bennett,
sir.
I do have a question. A couple of questions, actually. Just to kind of recap what you just said in kind of layman terms, I understand that you guys have a different plan than you had the last time, a different design, I guess, that you had the last time that you came and spoke with us. And I think the last time you said you had kind of narrowed it down to structural damage from water to about 300 structures, I think you said, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. And you were going back to even to make an effort to decrease it more. You've done that. You think you have a plan that can be, that looks like it might be workable, and you're doing another study to to make sure that that is correct. Am I good so far?
Ma'am, you're doing a better job than I did.
Okay. I'm just trying to
You're
understand it in
doing a better
layman
job
terms.
than I did.
Right. Then
Sure.
secondly, I think the last time that you guys were here, you mentioned the fact of cost. And I think the
Yes.
last time that you spoke with us, now let me ask you a question before I go there. The monies that are being spent for the design, to look at the design and to look at the planning for that, is that coming out of the monies that were allocated for the
The work.
for the
So in that,
rebuilding of the dike, or whatever
yeah,
plans you have?
great question. Yes, ma'am. So in that 39 million, there was a portion of that money that was intended to be used for really what we're doing now. So part of that allocation of money was for the eventual construction, and then there was a portion of it that actually goes towards the administration of the construction of it, and then there's a portion of it that goes for us to refine and do design type of work. So the answer is yes, but we are not impacting really the construction dollars or what was intended for the construction aspect. Now, we will have to go back and recertify the cost estimate for this project. As we all know, things are, gas is rising, things are becoming expensive. So we will have to go back and once we, kind of say, slap the table and say, this is the final design, go work on the cost and see where that's at. And then, again, kind of take it from there, if you will.
Okay.
But hopefully that answers your question. Yes, we are using some of the money for the design elements that we're doing, but it's all that was originally intended for that purpose.
And I do have a second part to that question. Having said that, and I'm sure it's quite costly to look at designs and bring in the experts that you said you did, so that you can come to a resolve. And knowing that the monies have already been dipped into, and what point can you guys go to the powers that be to say, hey, we know we're going to need more money at the end of this? I don't know if you've itemized things price wise as you go through the process of determining what needs to happen. If you kind of got a ballpark figure in mind already, that you know that you don't have as much monies now because you had to go back to designs. I guess it's been twice now since the 39. Does it make sense to go ahead and petition the powers that be to say, hey guys, we already can tell you we're going to need some more money with the price of things going up? Can we go ahead and start working on those things simultaneously so that when the plan is a let's go, as we were told in 2015, I believe it was, shovels can hit the ground? And I guess, and I'm sure you could understand it if you lived in Princeville, even better. I would like to think that you guys are really, really concerned about our being here in the predicament that we are in. I really want to believe that. And I will until you guys show us something differently. But I understand the frustration, the fearfulness of our citizens, and I'm a citizen. I sometimes forget that I'm a citizen as well when I start speaking in terms of things that's going on in Princeville. But I kind of put all my energy into what I think our citizens may be feeling. But what would help us a lot, I think, if we could get some more urgency in it and say, hey, let's go ahead and petition the powers that be and say to them, we know for a fact, you just basically said that things are going up. We know for a fact that we're going to need some more money. Can we go ahead and start kind of putting something to the side for that? Is that a possibility, sir?
Ma'am, I mean, I will, and again, I didn't catch your name when you.
I'm sorry about that.
Speaking,
I'm Commissioner.
I would just offer.
I'm Commissioner Joyner.
Go ahead. Oh, yes, ma'am. So, at the end, ma'am, you're more than welcome. I'm not gonna stop you or tell you to or not to, communicate with whoever you think it would be appropriate in the state. I mean, right now the state is from my position, from the Corps of Engineers position. It's, hey, whoever the non-federal sponsor is. At this point, it's the state. We've communicated, to the entities that we do think it is going to cost more, and they acknowledge that. And if you want to continue that message, the first question that they're going to ask you is how much more, and until we finalize the design and I get a certified cost, because we've got a process to send it to a section dedicated to developing accurate cost estimates. I'm not going to be able to answer that.
And maybe you misunderstood my question because I had a mask on. I didn't say that. Can I go to the powers that be? My question to you was, because I'm sure you are more you know better than I what the possibility of the cost would be based on the fact of the design that you all have already designed, and based on the needs that you guys are going to have to make the project effective and work as much as possible. My question was, is it too early for you guys to go to the powers that be to say to them, we already know it's going to cost more money? And I mean, if you, after you do it, and if there is no response, then certainly I think it would behoove us as the citizens and as the board of elected officials to go to whomever we need to go to then and say to them, let's make this happen. We need this to happen. My question specifically was, is it too soon for you guys to go to someone and say,
Mayor Pro Tem, I think he answered that. He's already talking with the state about this. He said it's going to be more money. They're going to want to know how much more money. That's what they're working on now, to find out exactly how much money they're going to need in addition, so they can present that to the powers that be.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood him as he misunderstood me.
We've already communicated to internally and externally that we expect this is going to cost more. Nobody's pushed back on that. They acknowledge that, and they say, okay, once you get the number, tell us what it is, and we'll work through it. So that action is taking place. And again, as soon as I sense there is resistance, or I will keep you all informed as we go through it. That's my commitment to you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions from the board? Colonel Bennett, simultaneously, we were working on, not you all, but other entities were working on other flood mitigation opportunities, maybe dams, dikes, things of that nature. Are you aware of the progress they're making?
Yes, sir. We are tied in with NCORE and EM and the state entities. I'm aware, again, I don't have it at my fingertips, but I know that there are several state-sponsored flood mitigation activities. I know there's a purchase of some acreage and some reallocation of things like that going on. And we are incorporating all of those elements into our design as well to make sure we're capturing it and know what the latest are. So the answer to your question is yes, I am aware. The engineers are aware of what the state entities are doing, and we are including them in what we're looking at as well.
Okay. And one final question from me. We had a young lady from the middle school do a presentation for us last month. Her name was Asia Austin. Again, she was a middle school, and she brought up a hydroelectric dam.
Yes.
What can you tell us about a hydroelectric dam?
So I'm not sure which dam you are talking about. I will tell you that within the flood basin that you all are located in, right, there is not a single dam structure that is responsible or creating or exacerbating the flood condition. So I am not aware, and we've looked up and down I'm not aware of a hydroelectric dam in the flood basin that you all live in that is impacting or exacerbating any flood activities. We do have some in the state, obviously, even Corps of Engineers monitor some of those, but they're not connected to the river systems that are on the tar. We have one Topot up north and another one. But if you give me, I love talking to middle schoolers that have interest in science and STEM, and if you get me linked up with her, I'd be happy to find out which one she's talking about. But if there is a concern or the genesis of the question is a dam, hydroelectric dam that would be contributing to the flooding of the Tar River and exacerbating the flood conditions, we have looked at the dams. We have looked at output of dams. We have water control tables that measure that, and I just would offer that it is that is not the culprit, right?
No, she was talking more about building one.
Oh,
and I don't know the feasibility of that at all, but I know that's what she came up with, and I thought it was from a middle schooler that just opened my eyes.
I would love to talk to her. If you get her, if you could find out who that was, I've got a whole group of dam engineers, and I mean that tongue in cheek. That I'd love to have talk to her, and if nothing else, put her on a path to be one someday, and leverage her curiosity.
That would be awesome. I will make sure y'all are in touch with each other. Thank you so much. Any other questions?
I would just also offer that I would be welcome the opportunity to come, talk to the middle school as well. There's nothing more enjoyable to talk to young, exciting minds interested in science and technology.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Mayor Jones.
Other questions for the Colonel?
Just a moment. Mr. Bennett, also in your future deliberation, could you put on the table a reservoir? Other little small communities have reservoir for holding overflowing water. Princeville have a lot of land, and we could install a reservoir that would reroute that water right back into Tar River without going into Tar Bar Road.
So we have explored bypass channels. We have explored reservoir type of activities. All of those have been thought out. Unfortunately, I will just tell you that when you start talking about building reservoirs, it starts to get exceptionally expensive, and the environmental requirements to be able to do that, to make sure there's no endangered species, to make sure there's no wildlife, to make sure there's no historical artifacts that may be unknown, starts to also take a very lot of time, like multiple years, to do just the environmental impact analysis. And again, they start to get exceptionally expensive. That's why we look at the most cost-effective manner, which again, this berm system around and opening up some of the channels seems to be able to do that. But again, I appreciate the recommendation.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, Colonel. We'll be in touch soon.
All right. Thank you all. You all have a blessed evening.
You too.
Thank you, sir.
Next item on the agenda is the Princeville School Research Project.
Unfortunately, Mayor, I didn't get a chance to follow up with this group. My hope is that we can include them on the agenda in May.
Okay. Moving forward, we have the department reports, Public Works. Any questions for Public Works?
I just have one there. Mr. Porter, reference to the light pole.
Mr. Porter's not with us. Mr. Porter's not with us, is he?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Sorry about that. Hey, Mr. Porter.
What's going on?
Hey,
He
you
he was
can't.
so dedicated. He wanted to come and give his last report in person, Mayor.
All right. High five, Mr. Porter.
Yes, again, Ms. Porter, have we corrected the billing for that particular light pole?
No. What? So let me ask: does the citizen is saying that they're getting charged for the light pole, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do they have a copy of their bill that we can see where they're being charged at? And the reason I'm asking is because when I spoke to EMC, they told me that it's their pole in which they pay for. So for
Right.
clarity, I think it would be good if we could at least see on their bill where they're being charged from. Uh, so when we contact EMC, we could compare what we have as far as the bill.
Absolutely. I touched base with him, asked him to come to town hall to see the manager and reference to it. Thank you.
Other questions? Public Works?
If there aren't any more questions, if y'all would just bear with me for a second. It's my last report, and they say success is when preparation meets opportunity. And I feel that the town of Princeville has definitely prepared me for a new opportunity to be successful. I've been in this, I was in this position for about 3 years, a little over 3 years. And I can tell you that it was not easy. I thank Dr. Knight for her mentoring me, pushing me. Definitely on the days I wanted to give up, she definitely always pushed me, always taught me don't get distracted. So I just want to thank you for your patience, because I know I caused many headaches. But I do thank you, and that's genuine. I really do. To the board, I thank you guys as well for the support that I received from each and every one of you. I came into this position young. I think I was 30. I think I was 31 or 30 when I came in.
21.
But I thank you also for being patient and knowing that it was a learning curve for me. I had a lot of public works experience, but the administration side of it was pretty much my growth opportunities. So again, I thank you. To the citizens of Princeville, I thank you as well. I've built a lot of relationships with the citizens in Princeville. Miss Faye's here tonight, Mr. Roger Sutherland, Miss Lily Garner, Miss Janice Redwine, just to name a few, but I met them as complete strangers. And we formed a relationship my time here that, if they had an issue, they would call. I couldn't take care of it right then, but I did my best to try to make sure I could resolve any issues. So thank you to the citizens. I lead this position, and the mayor sent I can't remember if it was a text or an email I think it was like last summer. And the grass had kind of got away from us with public works. The rain, we were fighting against the rain and the grass. And he sent the email or the text, and he said that I've never seen the grass look like this under Mr. Porter's tenure. And, I went home and was like, okay, we just need to cut the grass. But as I thought about it, it told me that I made a difference. So leaving here, knowing that I made a difference, it's a good feeling. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you, and I enjoy my time here.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yes,
doing a
Mr.
great
Porter,
job,
you
Mr.
certainly
Porter.
made a
We
difference,
really
and we
appreciate you.
appreciate all that you've done for the town of Princeville and our citizens, and for me, especially those texts on Saturday morning and maybe even Sunday afternoon that you didn't have to answer, but you did most of the time, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mayor,
I do have one question on the solar solutions. That is a one-time payment, correct? No monthly payments?
Yes, sir. One time payment.
And the height of the poles in relation to the other ones in town, how they look?
The height of the poles from Solar Solutions are around 25 feet. Uh, in town, don't roundabout, I'm thinking around about 35 to 40.
Okay. And we're just talking about in the
But
exit,
right,
the
but those
entrance
would
to
only
the.
be placed in the roundabout, right?
Okay. Okay. And if I guess this is for the board, because Dr. Knight said you addressed it the last time, but I missed it. We're talking about the fencing around the park, the reasoning for the fencing, because it's for public use. Uh, I don't see any other parks that are fenced in. And if we're gonna close the park at night, what time are we gonna close it? And if we close it, who's gonna lock it? That's for the board. And I know that's a $100,000 investment we're talking about. Something to consider. Any other questions for Mr. Porter?
Mayor, if it's
Yes.
okay with the board, I would like to respond to Mr. Porter. And he said be patient with him, but we have already, given him his accolades internally. But now I want to externally say to you, Mr. Porter, we already missed you, and you just left Thursday. Everything that Mr. Porter say is true, but he was his own motivator. He had his intrinsic motivation to excel. He took every challenge as an opportunity. He was very docile to groom. The administration part was absolutely easy, Mr. Porter, because of your determination to excel. And so, wherever you take your skills, may you have the best of achievements and accomplishments, and take that same skill set and passion that you have to do well, and you will do exceptionally well. It was a pleasure working with you as a partner for the town of Princeville.
Thank
All right. Next, we have the finance reports. Any questions, comments, concerns about the finance report?
I just have a question in reference to the custodian. When is this young gentleman is working? Well, I know we reference to it pertaining to the budget concerning his salary. What kind of hours is he working and what days?
He generally works on every Thursday, and Mr. Porter has now departed. And under Mr. Porter's leadership, wherever Mr. Porter needed him, such as Heritage Park, he would go over and clean the facilities of Heritage Park. If Mr. Porter needed him in our temporary location out in the field, whatever he needed as far as cleaning purposes, it varied. But in this particular facility, he works every Thursday, and that hours range.
Thank you.
Other questions for finance? Okay, historic preservation coordinator, questions? I see we got turned down for quite a few grants, unfortunately, but we still move forward. Okay, senior center. Questions for Ms. Tate? Okay. Sheriff's report, any questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Fire department? Okay, town manager report? have anything, Dr. Knight?
I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out that noise. But yes, Mayor, you have under Town Manager's report the museum. As you will see that the FEMA did make a determination about the mitigation amount for the museum, and that is in the amount of $241,277.97, which is a major gap from the amount that Oakley Collier, the designers, concluded, which was to the tune of about $1 million. And so myself and the historical coordinator are working in harmony and trying to pursue different grants for construction opportunities. We have submitted one to NC Commerce, and we're hoping that they will entertain the scope of work for the construction for the museum as far as upgrading, because the only thing that FEMA will cover is the pre-disaster status of the museum. And so what you have before you is an eligibility determination letter. And my hope is that the board will support us in appealing this result. And so we have a meeting in the morning that FEMA will step out with us some of the areas of concern or elaboration that's needed for them to reconsider. And we have looped in the design company of Oakley Collier so that they can give them some detailed explanations of some of the concerns and some of the questions about some of the scope of work for the museum. And keep in mind that after FEMA's process, it still has to go back before SHPO for determination because it is a historically registered structure in North Carolina.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? A motion to approve the appeal process?
So moved.
Second.
Then probably moving second that we approve the appeals of eligibility determination for the museum. Are there questions?
Let's have a question about the senior citizen, Mayor.
Say it again.
The senior citizen building. How is the progress on that as far as the elevators?
We got to vote on this first.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I do have a question, Dr. Knight, and in regard to the eligibility determination, and we are trying to determine that we don't just want it to be returned to the original status that it was pre-flood. So we are trying to find ways to get it back to the flood, pre-flood, and greater.
That's correct.
Okay.
Other questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Okay, Commissioner Bullock, you had a question about the senior center?
Yes, I'm concerned about the elevator. I understand that there were two items that we were waiting on, and the senior citizens in Princeville is waiting on as well as I am. What's the status of that?
Well, thank you for inquiring.
That's number 2 right here, senior center, and Dr. Knight's going to speak on that, I'm assuming.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you for inquiring on that, Commissioner Bullock. You are exactly right. We have one item remaining for the senior center, and that is a second line for the fire device so that an inspection can be done. Lumen was on the ground, a contractor, on Monday for about 30 minutes and had to go and retrieve some additional line, to my understanding, and supposed to be back on tomorrow. This has been a very long process and back and forth with Lumen. And so my hope is that we continue to put the fire on Lumen so that we can get this final task completed so that Bernie, the construction company, can go ahead and get their inspection done after the line has been installed to the fire device.
This is in connection with the elevators?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And so that was my report, Mayor. And I also want to mention by way of our senior center program and director and reaching out to various organizations for donations that we did receive a hand-delivered donation from Edgecombe Martin by way of Mr. Stotts in the amount of $250. We did receive a letter from Sarah Lee as a response for the letters that were mailed out, that they stand ready to donate to any event that the senior center has. And so those responses are coming in, and we hope that they will continue to filter in. And thank you so much, Ms. Tate, for your hard work. The fruit of your labor is definitely showing. So we appreciate that. And so, and we're hoping that the senior center can be open in May. Myself, the construction administrator, and Bernie and company are still communicating with Lumen on a daily basis now, so that we can rectify this matter and the seniors can return to the programming. And also, Mayor, you have before you from our last meeting an agreement, and you did respond via email about some suggestions or clarifying questions about the agreement for, I said the museum, for the senior center. And so that's before you all again. The clerk has been so kind to organize the wording of that agreement, and we're hoping that you all can approve that on this evening with any necessary corrections. One of the questions that you asked, Mayor, is can the town hall parking lot be an overflow for parking? And I don't see that to be an issue at all. You also inquired, Mayor, can we include Sunday if anyone wanted to rent the facilities on Sunday? My only concern was staff, but if the renter can, the rentee can coordinate that on a Friday and we finalize it on a Monday, I don't see why not. And so those are, I think, quick fixes to that agreement and any other recommendations that you or the board might have.
Anything from the board? Okay, what's the pleasure of the board on the agreement?
I make a motion that we accept the agreement as stated.
I second.
And probably move that and second that we approve the agreement as stated for the rental of the senior citizen center. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much.
The next on manager's report is the 53 acres. As you well know, the board has been brainstorming, revising the concept plan for the 53 acres. You all approved the concept plan for the 53 acres prior to the town investing in the 88 acres. So now that the 88 acres is secured and finalized, the board has been in discussion about revisiting the concept plan for the 53 acres. And so with that said, Stewart has been working collaboratively with NC Growth in the concept plan, and also Wooten and Associates, the engineers, with the concept plan to envision more commercial than residential. And they would like to have that further discussion with you before Wooten goes further into phase one with the relocation of the Princeville Fire Department and the Public Works Department to the 53 acres. And so the two dates that they are proposing is May the 2nd or 3rd at 5:30 p.m. if your schedules are permitting.
Everybody's got the calendars with them?
Yes, sir.
May 2nd or 3rd?
Monday or Tuesday.
And when is our retreat is the 21st? That's too far away. What's the pleasure of the board? 2nd or the 3rd? Everybody available?
The 3rd would be
Anybody
better
not
for me.
available on the 3rd at 5:30?
The 3rd is good for me.
Okay.
Good for me too. 5:30.
Okay. Mayor
Okay,
Pro Tem?
so thank you so much. I will confirm that, and Miss Jessica will prepare a special call meeting for that particular conversation with Stewart.
Okay.
Let me ask a question. Once we make any changes on this, do we have to have another public hearing?
making changes on the 53 acres.
53 acre.
Not before you have the brainstorming session
Mm.
with the steward, because you're revising the previous concept plan. And so once that's finalized, and if the board desires to re-engage the community, because you already had in your initial plan residential and commercial. So you still will have residential and commercial, but you will have more commercial than residential. And so they're really looking at the logistics of where those areas were located within the 53 acres, and how you can revise that location of those residential units to make more room for commercial. So you're not changing the whole concept plan, taking residential completely out or taking commercial completely out. What you're doing is looking at how the logistics can be modified so that it can be um, more of commercial.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If there's no other questions, Mayor, HMGP, I did send some communication to the board um, about relating to the HMGP, and wanted to also notify the citizens where concerns with elevation. So thus far, there are 53 properties that now are under the elevation with North Carolina Emergency Management. The first 33 will go under construction. We're hoping that the kickoff will be around June 1st. The procurement process started on today. And so the leader, Steve McGugan, feels very comfortable that they will secure a contractor to start the elevation process for those citizens. And if you want to know if you are one of the 33 properties through the phase one, please do not hesitate to contact me, and I will give you that information.
Excellent. Excellent. Any questions?
Mayor, I don't have a question, but before we proceed, may we go back to Princeville Volunteer Fire Department, please?
Certainly.
On the Princeville Volunteer Fire Department report, there was a question raised: any updates from the town in regards to submitted documentation? And Chief Brown is here. What was the response there?
As it relates to the PW4.
Yes, ma'am.
So nothing has changed there, Chief Brown. We're still working with Ms. Stacy through NC Emergency Management, and the way that it appears is that the trail went cold in identifying where, if the town indeed returned the funds to the Princeville Volunteer Fire Department. That did not happen. The trail was very hot. That the town did receive funds from FEMA that should have gone to the Princeville Fire Department that never went. And so we do need to re-engage Ms. Stacy and have a meeting. What I did do last, as I reported here to the Board of Commissioners, is I did a letter of extension so that would give us more time to do our due diligence on this matter. But we can re-engage her at your convenience so that we can finalize this and do what's necessary to have this resolved.
Thank you. And there's one other thing on Chief Brown's report. Questions on proposed contract increase. Is this a matter that we should invite him to the retreat to discuss?
I think so.
That's entirely at your discretion.
Again, let me just say something about that, because that came up when I first came into office, and I had a meeting with Chief Powell and Mr. Evans in Edgecombe County, and there is a formula that they use to determine how much the fire departments receive throughout Edgecombe County, and we have to make sure that we stay along with that formula if we're not going to overcharge the citizens of Princeville versus the other Edgecombe County residents. And I have that formula somewhere. If I can't find it, Mr. Evans has it.
And if it's okay with you, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, I did reach out to the county manager and inquire, and I'm going to read verbatim his email, his response back. So the county does not give an appropriation to the fire department, but we do collect their fire tax. Princeville Fire Department is taxed at 11 cents per 100 value, $100 value. We estimate it will generate 115,000 per year. We send whatever is collected. Fire departments can request to increase their fire tax. They make the request unto emergency services. We review the request and make a recommendation to the board whether to do so or not. What we look for is whether we feel there is a legitimate justification for any tax increase. The board approves any fire tax increase with the passage of the budget. I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any other questions. So I just wanted to reach out to the county so that you all can have that additional information to make a sound decision about the proposal.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what the county pays to the fire department, and then we follow suit with that 11. I think that same formula to come up with how much we pay the fire department.
Mr. Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
This is Chief Brown. Good evening. I hope
Yes,
you're
sir.
doing well, everyone here. I just wanted to speak briefly. So the reason this came about was it kind of came back to me indirectly, informally. This was kind of informal conversation that didn't really come to truth on my behalf. But it was a lot of inquiry from citizens and other commissioners as well as kind of what our funding was from the town. And if there was enough support there. And so, Mayor, I am familiar with the formula. I can send it to you because I do have it. And I think that'll kind of satisfy your, what you're looking for, your justification for if the $5,000 increase would support the balance you're speaking of what we collect from the county.
Well, again, I don't have an issue with it at all, but I just don't want our citizens to be paying more than other Edgecombe County residents.
And that's always been the case. And that's why we never moved into a multi-year contract because of that intentionally. And so the clause is if we did move into a multi-year, one or two, is to make sure that there's not an imbalance there. So the citizens, the town is not paying more than the county. But we collect from the county, like the county manager said, around 108 to 115,000. And we collect 30,000 from the town, of which that 30,000 has been since 2013. So again, here we are 9 years later. We're still at 30,000. So we're definitely not in a position where we're trying to get over. We just want to make sure we are in a position to continue to support the community and grow our agency as well.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. But the $115,000, that's what the county pays you, right?
That's what we collect. Yes, sir.
Okay. And then we pay in addition to that 30,000.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And they kind of spoke on the retreat, and I didn't want to take up a whole lot of time. I do think this is more kind of appropriate for the retreat to have these specific conversations like I did, I guess, a couple of years ago, where we had the whole presentation. I was able to show you an itemized spreadsheet of my budget so you can see more in line, and it kind of, helps your thinking.
Okay. Sounds good.
Chief Brown, question. So you're not asking the county for any additional increase on Princeville?
No, sir. I wasn't even formally asking the town. Because, again, that will come from a letter request formally from the department. This is all like informal conversation. Nothing has been formally proposed from me for an increase. So this is just kind of conversation that's kind of transpired, kind of just amongst folks, and it's kind of come to fruition, which is great. I'm glad we have supporters, but there has not been a formal request to increase. However, that can happen, but I was hoping more to kind of present it differently at the retreat when I could have more time to kind of delve into why that request kind of would come.
So if that's the case, you're not just going to ask Princeville with not asking Edgecombe, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Chief Brown, I have a question too for you. The fire station is in my Ward 1, and I've had on occasion to stop by to see some of the stuff that you guys have been complaining about down through the years.
Okay.
The gutters, the bathrooms, how are we doing on that?
The gutters are not done. They're the same condition they were when we re-entered the building. Well, prior to the flood in 2016. So that's not corrected. The restroom facilities though has been corrected through some contractual work. We were able to resolve those issues.
Okay, I'd like to stop by sometime and look at those gutters for you.
Okay.
So, as Commissioner stated that, so we had additional funds that we used the additional funds for the gutter and the pavement out back, or is those funds still available, or what happened?
Commissioner Maurer, I honestly don't know. That's information that I hadn't been privy to. That was kind of on the town side. I think even prior to Dr. Knight's tenure here. But those numbers and what's left, as far as because it is a town building, I do not know.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer that question, the town still has insurance funds for that particular structure. So Chief Brown, whenever you'd like to re-engage the soliciting for quotes,
Sure.
We can work in collaboration to make that happen.
Sure. Thank you.
And and since that being said, I know there going to have to be some adjustment budget somewhere along the way so that we make sure that those money being appropriate out of the right line item
It's already been appropriated.
in that particular line item.
It is.
Okay.
It's been sitting
and,
there.
And that's under what line
Insurance.
item?
It's under
Just only
insurance, fire department.
Okay. So there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me ask a question about that though, because eventually the fire department's moving. Did we ever decide what we're going to do with that building? I know there was a recommendation out there to keep it as substation 2. Is that still on the table?
That was for building number 2. Building number 1, from my understanding, was once we moved, that building could not be. The building number 1, which is the main building, it could not kind of stand as a fire department anymore. But building number 2, which just houses trucks in a bay, was okay to stay.
But building number 1 is the one that has the gutter problem, correct?
That's right. Yes, sir.
What are we going to do with that building, board members? Are we going to utilize that building before we put money into it, or it's going to be torn down, or what?
Maybe that's something we can discuss in the retreat, because I was just thinking about that. I was going to ask Dr. Knight, if I know you said we had insurance money for that, will it have to be used on that particular building, or could that insurance money be utilized once we as part of the transitioning of it to the 53 acres?
So the insurance money was received for that particular structure because it was damaged in the flood.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, if we tear down, what happened to the proceeds of the money?
So I guess, again, my recommendation would be to discuss this during retreat. First of all, I guess it would be very important for you all to decide what could be used with Chief Brown and his support and his team, and what they would recommend that be used for if you want to keep that current structure in existence. But as Chief Brown said, because they're using the funds once they relocate to the 53 acres,
right.
Building 2 would need to building 1 or 2. Building 2, 1.
Building 1 would have
to be demoed.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask this question here: the insurance proceeds came from the insurance provided by the town, right?
That's correct, because the town owns.
That's
one.
right. Building number 1. That's right.
So there is no reason why the fire department cannot keep that building. Is that correct?
No, the fire department can't keep the building because it's relocating to the 53 acres. So it would be the town's responsibility when they relocate.
In terms of a substation, if the town would contract it to the department,
if you also decide.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So that is an option.
I think so. Yes, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
With a little bit more research and clarity, possibly.
Okay. So if we can use that building, then it's okay to go ahead and fix the gutters.
That would be correct.
We'll talk about it at retreat.
Okay. From the insurance money
for the town
right.
facility.
That's
right.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the attorney's report. Attorney Jones,
Testing. Yes. Good evening.
Good
good
evening.
evening. How are you?
Well, thank you for asking.
Great,
Getting right
great.
to it. Number one, dumping ordinance and litter. I have this evening forwarded a final copy over to Madam Clerk with a copy to the town manager. I've asked them to review once again to make sure that I have the precise dumping information proper. I did it while I was sitting here, so don't look shocked, right? I did not want to make sure. I want to make sure I didn't forget.
We don't have a copy.
I don't think there's a copy in the packet at all. So it was from last. This is a carryover from last month's meeting, and so it's probably it's not in the packet because I don't have a copy in my packet. That's okay. I'll make sure that it's emailed over with all those changes. So the changes were that the bulk item schedule, that is the schedule based upon Public Works' current delivery process, is what was agreed to, and that is the clerical change that I made to the document so that that can be changed in the statute. Second issue, zoning matters on First Street. I have reviewed and looked at these few photos that I have with regard to a few of the, I guess it's 2 mobile homes on First Street. It looks like they are affixed now to the land. I need to know how long they have been there. Do you know by chance, Madam Manager?
They're months. I would say no, October, November.
Okay.
They've been there for a period of time.
So pursuant to the statute that you guys have on file, the ordinance, I have created for your zoning enforcement officer, who is the town manager, a letter that she can submit to the landowner. It is my understanding, I don't know if these people are actually the owners or if in fact the land has been leased to these individuals. The culprits would be the owners of the property. They are the ones that are in violation. And so these owners need to have a copy of a zoning penalty, and that letter has been drafted. And so I will send that over to you, Madam Manager, for you to include in maybe the next meeting, if you like, and review to determine if that's something that the board wants to submit and send out. Any questions?
Let me just say, because they are already in place, they're already bricked up. They've been there. One of them been there for about a year. The other one recent. And because we didn't catch it earlier, I saw it and I did not say anything about it. That's my fault. I don't think we should make them leave, but the ones that are coming in now, I think if we need to jump on them as soon as they get there before they put in investments in it and tell them that's not appropriate. That's just me talking now.
I concur with you, Mayor. It's a combination of trying to do, 2 things. Number one, you've got, I think in new business, you have a planning board issue and just zoning issue overall, right? So in that area, is it zoned already for, for mobile homes in that area, or is it not zoned for those? If we're going to make that exception because those folks have already violated the zoning ordinance in that area, we need to make sure that there's what's called a variance, and that variance needs to go through the commissioners. There needs to be a hearing so that these properties can acquiesce and be part of that variance. So that is the process. So holistically, we need to do something that is fair across the board. So I concur.
Okay.
Number 3, the Board Code of Ethics. Commissioner Bullock, my apologies, sir, that you don't have a copy of that. That is something that was an ongoing document that was being reviewed prior. Is it in the packet?
Did you say?
Okay, this was part of the part of the last packet.
No, we know.
Okay, was any of my excuse me? Was any of my stuff copied?
I didn't get it.
Not an ethics.
I didn't get it.
Okay.
No, never have it.
The
Only thing I
Pioneer
got
Court
is what you
stuff?
sent recently with the Pioneer Court and stuff.
Okay.
I don't have the document nor the Board of Code of Ethics.
Okay, so my apologies. The board code of ethics was something that the board was considering. Commissioner Bullock, all commissioners were considering a board code of ethics that I drafted last year, October or so. It has not been accepted at this time, but it was just some guiding principles on how the board would conduct itself moving forward. Just ethically, with integrity, etc. It's so just some guiding principles.
If you
If might
have
I
a
add, Attorney Jones did submit that to the board, but I think you requested some revisions to that document. So that's probably what they're waiting on, the revisions to the initial document that was submitted.
Okay, I didn't get any revisions to the board code of ethics. I wasn't aware of that. Now, again, there was a meeting that I was not privy to that was had. So I didn't get any revisions. So I didn't get any revisions to the board code of ethics.
Well, there were some revisions because it was we were in agreement that the code of ethics overreached, such as the town manager has oversight of the day-to-day operation of personnel, and the first code of ethics overreached to include personnel. It went beyond the board members, and we were not satisfied with that collectively.
Absolutely. So I did not receive that information though. So I'm happy to, if you want to make those adjustments, or if there was some recommendations to change that or to strike those provisions, that's absolutely fine. I'm not sure what meeting I missed where those recommendations I did not receive, unless they were part of another discussion that I was not part of. All right. Any questions?
Yes,
Mr. Bullock.
is it proper to make a move that we need to be supply those codes of ethics?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Wouldn't it be a good idea if each one of the board members up here had a copy of those ethics so we could review and make corrections and
Absolutely.
suggestions?
So I will make sure that they are in your packets. It may be a moot issue after tonight, but I will make sure that they are provided to you for your later consideration. Okay?
But we have
they,
a copy of the original one, and but did not approve it because we needed those revisions done.
Right. So I just don't know when those revisions were made. That's my gap in communication. Okay? That's the only thing. The cemetery, I have received a great email. Thank you, Madam Manager, for digging this email up from your prior council. And in doing some additional digging, I have learned that the Princeville Community Cemetery was, in fact, the goal several years ago. This preservation organization or preservation commission was, in fact, formed. I have also looked through the nonprofit status. It was a nonprofit that was actually formulated. The nonprofit was revoked looks like in 2010. It can be reinstated. So the guidance that's provided in this email shows that there was some movement in the right direction with regard to the cemetery. And it looks like at one point what was supposed to happen was this commission was supposed to have oversight of the cemetery. The town was supposed to provide the cemetery with a budget, with a budget. And then also this commission would then promulgate certain rules and ordinances with regard to how the cemetery would be managed. This can still be done. However, the commission has to be reinstated because it is now a revoked nonprofit. So additionally, it may also serve as an awesome opportunity for you to get citizens involved and have them participate as members of the commission if you're interested in doing that. So this is this email has helped with regard to structure and how it can be legally structured. The additional parts of this email also suggest that the thought in 2018 was that the cemetery would then be deeded to this commission so that it would have oversight. what that ultimately does is, in my opinion, it doesn't take away the responsibility of the cemetery from the town. It just structures the responsibility to a commission. Understand? Any questions?
So, I'm sorry. So,
Yes.
Attorney Jones, in that correspondence, I think I also read, or maybe it was the previous correspondence from the former attorney, that the town was in the process of assuming ownership of the cemetery. And so, as he looked at the commission and saw that the commission was no longer in existence, then he had a conversation with the board and the town assuming responsibility. And he did go as far as taking the first step of the town assuming responsibility. And I think that's where it left off at. Could you, is that true?
He mentioned some resolutions, and so I don't know if there's documentation of the resolutions and whether those resolutions were actually filed somewhere in the record with the town. So yes, you are accurate, Madam Manager. I just don't know if those next steps were taken. It predates me at the time. Okay. So to be, I guess, 100% sure that is done, I would say we do it over, right? If you cannot find the necessary record. But well done to find this email. This gives better explanation as to what the intentions were versus anything else. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I think this is something to the town manager that we can add to the retreat as well, so that we can kind of discuss this in depth. Thank you.
And Madam Manager, I would also suggest that at the retreat, you include this, have this email available. Also have the IRS documentation that talks about reinstatement of the nonprofit. The nonprofit was revoked because it did not file a 990 tax document. And there is a process that has to be filed now so that it can get reinstated. And that's for the Preservation Commission. Okay?
Thank you.
Number 5, for the 88 acres, I believe we have our payment with regard to that from our tenant. And he is sending over the lease agreement as well as declaration of his insurance coverage. And that is en route. He's actually going to either drop over a copy, hopefully sometime this week, but I've asked him to scan a signed copy of the lease as well as the declaration to my email. I just spoke with him on yesterday.
So are we talking about the 1st of May when he wanted?
He made the payment, I think so his lease goes from April to April. So he made the payment, and so it is actually initiating from April 5th, I believe the date is 2022,
Okay.
to 2023.
Got you.
All right, Madam Manager, Madam Clerk, if you could pass the documents with regard to Pioneer Court, and hopefully there's an additional extra so that I can just follow along. Thank you, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yes.
On Thursday, April the 14th, I sent the email at 12:43, asking questions about the deed restrictions as we have now and the trust for the property set up on Lynch Drive. I received a response. Then I sent a second email on April 14th at approximately 4 o'clock, asking why was Attorney Bowens paid if Mr. Telfair had his closing attorney. Why was money paid to them? I didn't get a response.
Okay. In your second email, sir, you cited you did not want to violate public laws, public information, public gosh, I can't think right now.
Open meeting
Open
laws.
public meeting laws, and so I did not respond to your second email. So I did that to be respectful of what you cited. The documentation that I've provided, I'll go through a full explanation so you can clearly understand absolutely everything that's going on.
Okay, because I'm concerned because I spoke with Attorney Cheshire from Winston-Salem Housing Authority,
Sure.
and he stated that it was impressed upon him that you were working pro bono for the town of Princeville, that you wouldn't receive any money for the work that was done, and that's very concerning.
Pro bono in the sense that I already get paid, sir. I'm not going to double dip. So that's what that meant. So understand there are 4 attorneys working in this case.
Well, let me make it clear. I know what pro bono means.
Okay.
But
So
continue.
this is not to be defensive, or I just want to make sure you understand what my understanding and what I want to be clear as to my role. I am already retained and paid by the town of Princeville. So I was not going to get another payment by the town through any means. What happened in this transaction was Attorney Bowen serves as our real estate counsel. She has served as our real estate counsel for the last 3 years since I have been a retained lawyer and working for the town of Princeville. I do not do any real estate closing work. I oversee all of our outside counsel. In overseeing our outside counsel, Attorney Bowens has done all of our real estate closings to include deed preparation. I don't do deed preparation. I do contracts, I do restrictive covenants and declarations. This documentation will show you that as early as last year, October, I was drafting the declarations for this deal. I prepared the contract for purchase for this deal. And inside that contract are restrictive covenants. Those restrictive covenants were prepared by me with the assistance of Kevin Cheshire, Gregory. We all discussed and negotiated those things so that they would be in the best interest of the town as well as the buyer. Those covenants are then transferred to the deed. The deed is prepared by Attorney Bowens. I do not prepare deeds. Attorney Bowens also prepared something called a lien waiver. That is something I don't prepare either. Those are all documents prepared by attorneys that do real estate work. This documentation will show you that the buyer's attorney got paid close to $3,000 for his work for this closing. That included his negotiations and conversations with me, his work on the closing, title, etc. The initial offer for Attorney Bowens was $250. That, sir, was not fair. It was below the standard for all of the work she had done to prepare the deed, to prepare lien waiver, as well as to engage in 3 meetings with me and the other attorneys. That is what she did. My work was on behalf of the town of Princeville, and pro bono meant that I am already paid as a contract attorney. All of that document is in this packet, including all of the emails.
So if your job was deed restrictions, where did you come in with negotiating a payment for someone else?
Because in the HUD, in the process, Miss Bowens works for the town of Princeville. It was either the town of Princeville pays by way of me contacting the board and saying, please issue a check for Attorney Bowens, or in the process of this negotiation, I was able to get Attorney Bowens paid through the HUD settlement funds. That was in the town's best interest. The statement that is listed here, unfortunately, the attorney report reads, unfortunately, and I would ask, Mayor, if we could make a slight amendment to the minutes because I don't want it to read that Attorney Bowens was able to get some HUD funds and should be closed by some HUD funds does not necessarily explain that she was paid for her work to close on the loan and for the deed preparation. That was her job. That was her job, and that has been her job as our closing attorney for our real estate transactions for the last 3 years.
So Attorney Cheshire, I spoke with him, and he stated $500 was fair. And based upon your conversation with him, he was reluctant to do more, but he did. And I'm trying to understand if it was your job for deed restrictions only, why would you step in the role of negotiating in the name of Princeville to get more money for someone else?
She worked for the town of Princeville. I'm sorry, she worked for us. She was my assistant, working and has worked on behalf of the town of Princeville as our attorney.
But at no time did Attorney Cheshire suggest to me that she spoke with him in regards to pay.
Attorney Cheshire was not completely every day of the week involved in this, dear sir. And additionally, if Attorney Cheshire had any problems with anything, then I submit to you in my email correspondence, he would not have said, "I approve $1,000." It's here.
Reluctantly.
That's not what he stated.
Well, that's what he stated to me.
Well, I'm sorry. I have it in writing.
Okay, we'll deal with it. Continue.
Well, that's all that I have. Everything else is here in writing. And so, therefore, my integrity and everything that I stand for speaks for itself. I dealt exactly the way this needed to be dealt, fairly, ethically, and appropriately, and made sure that every single attorney that represents our interests is dealt with fairly and no one is dealt with inappropriately. If there are no other questions with regard to that, the deed satisfaction 310 mutual, was that something that came through recently, Madam Manager?
No, this is the,
Deed satisfaction for 310. This was the one that you sent over and asked that I put on the agenda last month. And then it has transferred over to the agenda with the gentleman who came in for the deed satisfaction. And his
name was Henry Pitts.
Henry Pitts.
Okay, this is one that he wants to have this, and I haven't talked to Mr. Pitts. Do we have a phone number for him by chance?
You have it.
Okay, if I can get in touch with Mr. Pitts, I will make sure, because he's trying to transfer or do something with his property. And so we'll make sure that that's done before the end of the month. That is all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Jones. Moving to old business. Our retreat is on May 21st. Still at the Senior Citizen Center, correct?
Yes, sir. And if that change, I'll come back before the board again with some recommendations of the location.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, Juneteenth.
Yes, I just basically wanted to make an announcement in regard to the Juneteenth in Rocky Mount. The town of Princeville have been invited to be a part of the national holiday. Juneteenth being declared as a national holiday. They're asking that for the board of elected officials, mayor, and any citizen of Princeville who will be interested in being a part of that to do so. Those celebrations will be on the 17th, 18th, and 19th. On the 17th, on Friday evenings, it will be a part of the in Rocky Mount. The schools in Rocky Mount has an AB Honor Roll celebration, and the students will be riding in the parade. And this is something, I believe there are over 100 students that will be participating in this AB Honor Roll. I think it is very, very exciting that these students maintain A and B's grade status in the midst of COVID and in the midst of the virtual learning. So we are really excited and proud of them. Hopefully, I believe also the town of Princeville is celebrating Juneteenth, and hopefully we can glean from some of the things that City of Rocky Mount been having Juneteenth now for the past 15 years. I think in the last meeting that the board did agree that we would be a part of the parade. We just want to extend that invitation to any citizen of Princeville as well. And I know I had mentioned to you that there was a float. There are floats that will be purchased by the city of Rocky Mount. However, there will be ask for a sponsorship. I think that if we the board of commissioners would like to, I believe it would be more preferable to ride cars. That's all I wanted to say on that, Mayor.
Okay. How many cars?
However many we need so that the commissioners can be comfortable.
All the commissioners participating?
I believe we voted in the last meeting that the board as a whole would participate.
Okay. All right. Any questions about Juneteenth? Okay, moving to new business, the planning board.
Mayor and Board of Commissioners, thank you so much for altering the agenda for the planning board. We are trying to align with our ordinance, and so we are updating the planning board. And so last meeting, you had a decision to make about reappointing to the planning board. And the two appointments from the county will be made in May. And so that leaves the Board of Commissioners having to make a decision about adding two and releasing three, which would be Calvin Atkins, Linda Worsley, Doris Teen Wiggins. And then you would need to reconsider whether or not Ms. Porter would be continue to be a fit, as she does not reside in the community. And Kenneth Sanders, I'm not sure what the status is, but if we could check in with him on his status and whether he so desired to remain on the board. And so if that's the case, that would leave this Board of Commissioner making two appointments and yielding to the county for the two in the ETJ.
Questions?
And you can make that decision in May. I think it would be absolutely wonderful to bestow accolades onto your long-standing planning board members in May for their diligence to the planning board and to the town of Princeville.
Okay, and the three that are coming off, Mr. Atkins in the ETJ, Ms. Wiggins in a Ward, is that Ward 2, right?
Ward 2, yes.
Linda's in Ward 1. So normally what we do is each commissioner chooses for his or her ward.
So you only have 5 members to this board, Mayor. 3 from the town of Princeville and 2 from your ETJ that's appointed by the county, Edgecombe County Commissioners, according to your ordinance.
Normally what they do is send us some recommendations, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So as it stands right now, if we follow suit, if I'm not mistaken, Ward 2, Mayor Pro Tem will have a choice, and then Ward 1, Commissioner Bullock will have a choice. Is that right?
However you so desire to do it.
That's what we normally do.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions about the planning board?
I don't have a question. I will reference to this. And if we do not or cannot appoint any two for those two positions, is it an option that those ones we have remain?
So according to the ordinance, they have completed their time. And so my recommendation would be for the board to reappoint. And I'm certain that you can find some members to reappoint.
So I understand the recommendation, but if we don't, and if we cannot, in other words, then I think it will be an option that those remain if that being the case. But if we can, based on Ward 1 and 2, then so let it be. But however, If we cannot, I think we already got some good board members, planning board members that is sitting on the board that understand the ordinance, even though I know that the other ones can come here and learn and understand what we need to look at as the planning or the zoning. But I just want to throw that out there just in case.
There's a valid point, Commissioner Mark, because they just was trained by, I think it was Upper Coast Plain Council of Government. Was that right?
No, it was, they were, you have board members that have been seated since 2014. They were trained, the new ones, Kelsey Dew, Dolores Porter, and Kenneth Sanders by Attorney Morphus, and in conjunction with Andrew through the Upper Coastal Plains Admin and Tech Support.
Okay.
Question.
Other questions?
Is it protocol for people that's serving on the board, the commissioners board, to serve also on that planning committee?
No, sir.
No.
Then why would you consider talking to two and one from those wards?
You would be selecting citizens from your ward.
Or we would select from our ward?
That's correct.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, the North Carolina Alcohol Beverage Control Commission.
And Mayor, this is where we go, I'm sorry, to your two pending matters of 320 Mutual Boulevard and 704 Getty. This was submitted to the planning board and declined, and the response was that, you want to align with your ordinance, and if your ordinance does not allow manufactured homes in that zoning, then you would have to adhere to your ordinance. And so this reference back to what Attorney Jones mentioned. You've done text amendments and as recently as King Avenue and Newton and other streets in Southern Terrace. And so this lays back in the responsibility and decision making of the Board of Commissioners. So you have two pending matters. One is 320 Mutual Boulevard, by which a structure is already on that property. And we did have a conversation with the gentleman prior to that structure on that property, and he still moved forward. We gave him step-by-step recommendations or outline of our ordinance. So that's something that you all would have to make a determination about. And we do have 704 Getty, and that is to move a double wide on that structure. And it's from 704. It's a very unique structure because and according to the GIS, it only shows up as 704 through 710 in that one parcel.
Lots 9 through 13 on that 704 property.
Yeah, and so the other area adjacent to that property is wooded area through the Habitat of Humanities. That they are the landowners for that property adjacent to 704. But anyway, they would like to have a mobile home on that property at 704 Getty.
And again, I think we should stick with the ordinance. We said no mobile homes in the city limits. I think we should follow the ordinance.
So is that a vote for the board this evening? So how, they would need to know how to move forward.
Okay, let's do one at a time. Well, we can do both of them because it's the same thing. What's the pleasure of the board?
I would recommend, Mayor, if you do it individually. And
Okay,
that's 320 Mutual Boulevard. Yes, sir.
What's the pleasure of the board? 320 Mutual Boulevard.
I make a motion that we follow the ordinance as written.
Second.
It's probably moved in second that we follow the ordinance for 320 Mutual Boulevard. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. What's the pleasure of the board for 704 Getty?
I make a motion that we follow the ordinance as written.
Second.
It's probably moved in second that we follow the ordinance for 704 Getty. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Okay. Next item is the North Carolina Alcohol Beverage Control Commission resolution. You have that, Dr. Knight?
What the resolution?
New business number 2.
I thought Mayor had that
No,
resolution.
he sent it to us. Remember, you're supposed to copy and put on the agenda? The ABC resolution he sent us. The clerk is trying to locate that email, Mayor.
Okay, I
Do you?
sent it to everyone. Let me see if I can
Yeah.
pull it up at the same time as well.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Uh-huh.
Is it out of order to make a recommendation right now regarding the
Concerning what?
last issue? The
The trailers?
yeah, the trailers. Yes, sir.
We can talk about it. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I think if we haven't already established a statement, it should be something that everybody interested in moving in Princeville need to come to the office and pick up this document explaining to them that that is a city ordinance, that we don't want no trailers in here. And they'll know
That's
that
right.
ahead of time before they take the liberties of bringing one in without knowing, and we could eliminate all of this unnecessary, stress and drama.
You're exactly right. And I think people should know that, but we will re-emphasize it. And I found the resolution.
Okay.
Okay.
This is the North Carolina Alcohol Beverage Control Commission resolution of the city of Princeville, county of Edgecombe. Now you got to put in Princeville, you got to put in Edgecombe. This is a blank form regarding the designation of an official to make recommendation to the North Carolina Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission on the ABC permit application. Whereas GS 18B-904F authorizes a governing body to designate an official by name or by position to make recommendations concerning the suitability of persons or locations for ABC permits. And whereas in the city of Princeville, county of Edgecombe, wishes to notify the North Carolina ABC Commission of its designation as required by GS 18B 904F, be it therefore resolved that blank the name of official, title or position is hereby designated to notify the North Carolina Alcohol Beverage Control Commission of the recommendation of the city of Princeville, county of Edgecombe, regarding the suitability of persons or locations for ABC permits within its jurisdiction. Be it further resolved that notices to the city of Princeville, county of Edgecombe, should be mailed or delivered to the official designated above at the following address. And then we just put our addresses in. And this date and signed by the mayor, and this date and signed by the clerk. So either we have to put in an individual or we can put in the office. And I think it would be better to put in the office because we may change at any time. One of the issues that brought this out was, guess who was on the given permission from the town they had on file? Linda Worsley.
Oh,
And she hadn't been on the board since when?
No, it's been a while.
15 years.
That
So
saying,
what's the pleasure
Mayor.
of the board?
That saying, Mayor, I will volunteer if the board will accept that.
Okay, well, what I'm trying to say though is not put an individual name, but a position.
Understand. So if we do that, so who would carry out that process? Because
Well,
we
could
already have the town manager as being one of the ABC board commissioners.
Is she?
No, I'm not.
You're not there anymore.
I had never attended those, and neither has the previous ones. They were invited, and they did accept the invitation as they had discussions about matters for town of Princeville representation, and Mr. Bridgers also served in that capacity as well with attending those meetings.
Okay, my misunderstanding because I had sent the store owner to the town for you to sign off on it a while back. I thought last year that you volunteered yourself to be one of the ABC board commissioners.
No, sir.
It never took place.
No, sir.
Okay.
So we can, as I'm reading it, and I'll send it to you all again. We can just put up there, leave the name blank, and put up there either commissioner or manager or mayor pro tem. What's the pleasure of the board?
So are they looking at as collected any board member or the town manager, you saying if you just put it in that form can carry it out?
Yes.
Okay.
Question, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
That's too many people to have that power. And if
I'm
this is, if, wait a minute, if
I'm not talking about putting everybody up there. I'm saying one
one,
of those.
is this supposed to be allowing us to have alcoholic beverage stores in town or not?
Say again. Say again.
Does this, are we giving someone to set up a ABC store here?
No, this is, for example, we just approved for
Yum Yum.
Yum Yums to serve alcohol. That came through the town board. The board voted on it, approved it, got the permission. You got permit. Or if another restaurant opens up, they want to sell alcohol, they have to come through the town. We have to vote on it, and then one individual can have to sign off on the document. But the board has to approve it. We just needs one person to notarize it.
I think it should be the mayor that does that.
It's a
What's the pleasure of the
possibility. I think we need to discuss this since I'm back and new. But I need to have some participation and some voice in it because I'm just afraid that if somewhere down the line we may get abused or misused behind that.
Well,
But
it can't be misused.
Nobody can officially sign this document unless it's brought before this board and we vote whether we're going to give that permit or not.
Okay, all right, I got you now. Okay.
Yeah.
Mayor,
come before the board.
Mayor and Board of Commissioners, might it not be deemed most appropriate to have it in the town's name, whoever your town manager is, and at this current time it being me and the town managers, because it still has to go through the process of the board, just as we did with Mr. Andrews. Because when, as Commissioner Meyer stated, when the young lady brought in their updated application, I had to sign that because as the town manager, so that was already approved and updated. So it would still have to filter through this office and into the agenda of the Board of Commissioners for approval consideration.
So let me be clear. It comes to the office initially, then it's brought before the board. Then another signature is required.
Approval is required by this governing body for whoever so desire to serve alcoholic beverages. Correct, Mayor?
Yes. We have to approve all permits.
Now, I'm understanding that. But you said that when it came into the office, you signed it initially. Am I right?
For Bridgers, yes.
Okay.
It was approved through this board prior to my signature.
Prior to your signature. Okay.
So in order for you to sign off, you're not considered as ABC board commissioner, or you just sign off?
I'm signing off as the person
that has been
appointed by this governing body. and really it's for the town of Princeville. So
Okay.
I think if we go back in the minutes, it'll show that you accepted it a while back. It was a little bit right after you got in as a town manager. You might want to double check that.
Was it accepted for a business commission?
It was for the ABC, Beverage Control Commission. That's what I recall.
Now
okay,
that may be
and
different. That may be local. What we're dealing with the state now. This comes from the state.
so
I don't know if
Attorney
that makes
Jones,
sense.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
That's fine. I'm
Attorney
just saying
Jones,
I don't know whether that makes a difference or not.
okay, I'll yield to Attorney Jones. She has a recommendation.
Okay.
As of recently, you have also adopted a special events ordinance. It would also behoove the commission to consider that if in fact the town manager is signing off on those special events permits, that would also be part and parcel of her responsibility to sign off on any of those type of permits as well. So it would all fall within her purview. Something to consider.
Is that a town official setting that most town carry out, or this is just something that you're speculating on?
Again, this is not speculation. This is a recommendation.
Okay, recommendation. Okay, thank you.
The permits for the events are just one day. And it's not a going on business. It's just a one event.
I mean,
And they should be coming into town to get a permit that somebody has to approve of to either permit alcohol or no alcohol.
mhm.
No, and that's what we're saying. We just everything alcohol related has to come before the board. We have to approve before the signature goes on. If we do not approve, nobody signs. But we just need the individual that's going to be responsible for signing if we give the approval.
Got you clear.
Okay.
Okay.
So is there a motion?
Yes.
So it really does not. Can I ask a question before we vote? Make a
Sure.
motion.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it has to be signed.
Has to be signed.
Okay.
Yes.
The person that signed it does not necessarily.
Give them permission.
The board gives the permission.
Right.
The person that
Right.
signs it is just the person that is there to do that.
Receives it.
Receive it, and I guess it stands to reason that would be the town manager, unless you make a special.
Let me give you another example, Commissioner, if it's permissible.
Mm-hmm.
Citizens come in for a special permit, just like we
Okay.
talked about this evening. I'm the enforcement officer, town manager / enforcement officer.
Okay.
I have to sign off on those permits and review the language of those permits. And then it comes before the board, and the preliminary process is sometimes it goes through the planning board. The planning boards offer recommendation from those permits. Then it comes back before the board on their recommendations, and you still at your discretion make a decision about the permits that are before you. So it's the same process, that just signing off on the resolution. And when those special permits come in, as Attorney Jones mentioned, even for the festival ordinance that you all recently approved, it would still have to come before you to make the final decision about individual permits that come through this office.
Okay.
I got it. The buck stops here.
Yes.
Yeah,
With this
exactly.
board, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Right.
Yes.
So I make a motion that it be signed off on by the town manager.
Second.
And properly moved in second that we allow the town manager to sign off on the resolution for the ABC. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. Next, we have the health insurance.
What you have before you, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, is an increase in the health insurance. You see from the first spreadsheet from July 1st of 2021 to June 30th of 2022, what those premiums were. still are, because we're still in 2022, and they are
Thank you.
expected to increase from July 2022 to 23. Interestingly, you see the increases by 50 cents for your short-term disability, and I just want to make sure that you all are aware that that will be occurring in our next fiscal year of 2022-23.
Questions? Thank you so much. Before we go to executive session, any board comments? Thank you, citizens, for joining us tonight. Stay safe. The virus is still out there. We want you to stay healthy and happy. Is there a motion to go into executive session, NCGS 143-318.11A16, to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of this state or the United States, or not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes, NCGS 143-318.11A4, to discuss relating to the location or expansion of industries, agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiation, or to discuss matters relating to military installation closure or realignment. 1, economic development. 2, personnel. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Properly moved and second that we go into executive session. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. I see you on the other link.
Okay.